Once upon a time in the sun-soaked city of Los Angeles, among the sunsets and the ocean, nestled amidst the whispers of the palm trees and the lively hum of life, there thrived a man named Clarence Winchester. Clarence was a judge, his jet-black robes a constant in the city's landscape. The gavel in his hand denoted his authority, while the other held a hidden agenda. His courtroom was his stage, where he ruled not with fairness, but with an iron fist and a sly grin. Each verdict was a performance, a dance of power orchestrated with precision and driven by greed. His methods were devious, his motives questionable, and his actions corrupt. His reputation was built on deceit, and those who challenged him were quickly silenced. Yet he moved through the corridors of justice like a shadow, his transgressions hidden beneath an authoritative exterior. Even as the city he manipulated slept, he was always awake, plotting his next move. Little did he know that his double-dealing ways were about to catch up with him in the most unexpected manner. It all started when Clarence found himself entangled with the infamous Mexican mafia, a twist that would forever alter his destiny. One day, a mysterious figure, El Diablo, emerged from the shadows, introducing himself through whispers and fearful glances. El Diablo, with his audacious swagger and cunning eyes, offered a deal to Clarence, a proposition artfully decorated with promises of riches. The offer, while tempting, was a concealed trap involving the exchange of biased judgments for a string of tempting rewards. A spark of greed ignited within Clarence's heart, wrapping like tendrils around his soul. The allure of the deal permeated his conscience, eroding his resistance. The once principled Clarence found himself trapped by the tantalizing promise of wealth and influence. In the end, surrendering to the dark temptation, he formed a secret alliance with the criminal organization. As the months passed, Clarence's secret dealings thrived, expanding into an unstable empire shrouded in mystery. His covert operations, untouched by the probing hand of the law, were a reflection of his cunning demeanor. His malevolence, composed of careful manipulation and brazen bravado, lay hidden beneath his guise as a justice official. To the public eye, Clarence was a shining symbol of justice, his intricate facade concealing his authentic self. He wore the guise of virtue in the light of day, only to cast it off under the veil of night, morphing into an orchestrator of deception. Behind the scenes, he the scales of justice, which, though silent, constantly shifted, always seeking equilibrium. A potent force was on the verge of revealing the puppeteer's identity. This wasn't a mere idea, but a persistent, committed, and unyielding detective named Maria Rodriguez. Maria, a symbol of true justice, pursued Clarence doggedly. She connected the dots, akin to an artist piecing together a jigsaw, linking his dubious judgments to the abrupt worrisome of the Mexican mafia's dominion. Maria wasn't just a spectator of the puppet show, she was gradually recognizing the puppeteer. As the months passed, Clarence's secret dealings flourished. However, the scales of justice have a way of balancing themselves. A relentless and incorruptible detective named Maria Rodriguez had been hot on Clarence's trail, connecting the dots between his rulings and the sudden rise of the Mexican mafia's influence. One fateful evening, as the city glittered under the starlit sky, the Los Angeles Police Department stormed Clarence's prestigious mansion located in the city's epicenter. A symbol of wealth and power, the mansion was momentarily transformed into a stage for an intense confrontation. The steady march of the police officers, their badges glinting in the moonlight, echoed ominously as they approached the imposing oak doors. The mansion's owner, Clarence, was well known for his commanding presence and sway within the city's judiciary. He was a titan of the courtroom, unrivaled in his authority. But now, he found himself in the eye of a storm that he had been skirting for years. The allegations leveled against him were severe, sketching a chilling narrative of venality and duplicity. Accusations of bribery and misuse of power for personal enrichment were thrown his way, revealing his ties with the city's underworld and his collusion with a notorious crime syndicate. The once invincible magistrate, who had meted out justice from his exalted position for years, was now staring down the barrel of his own actions. The once untouchable judge, who had spent decades delivering sentences from his lofty perch, was now on the receiving end. Clarence found himself behind bars, a harsh contrast to the grand courtrooms he once ruled. The prison walls, cold and unfeeling, echoed the tales of hardened criminals. Each whisper that slipped through the bars carried the rumors of his treachery. His name turned into a synonym for betrayal. whispered with a mix of awe and disgust. The prison's warped sense of time made days feel like weeks. His swift fall from grace seemed like a predator's sudden swoop on prey. It was merciless, much like the walls that confined him. The judge, once the wielder of justice, was now the judged. His life, once revered, had been upended. His actions, now a heavy burden, made the dread tangible. His fall hadn't been swift, but also brutally unyielding. Amidst this harsh reality, he began to comprehend the degree of his downfall. The judge, the arbiter of justice, now the judged. The sense of dread was palpable, and the weight of his actions was a constant companion. And as he sat there amidst the harsh reality of his new life, he realized that his fall from grace was not just swift, but brutally unyielding. Within the confines of the prison, Clarence found himself in a dangerously unfamiliar environment. This world was in stark contrast to the one he once controlled. A former powerful figure, now he was just another prisoner in a labyrinth of ominous shadows and iron bars. His former ties to the Mexican mafia inevitably led him to the attention of the Bloods. This notorious gang, known for their cruelty, placed Clarence in their crosshairs. Every step he took was under their watchful eyes. The prison atmosphere was fraught with tension, each cell holding potential threats. The dim corridors had transformed into a perilous maze. Here, the rules of survival and cunning took precedence over outside laws. His mind, once consumed with tactics, was now focused on the primal instinct to stay alive. The narrow cells and dim passages became his new world. One day, a violent confrontation in the cafeteria put Clarence in the heart of the storm. The importance of staying alive surpassed any legal strategies. The narrow cells and poorly lit passages had become his new territory. The prison yard, a barren landscape of concrete and iron, was often the stage for power struggles. One day, under the midday sun, Clarence found himself cornered by the Bloods. Their intimidating presence was a grim reminder of his new reality. "You're cozying up with the Mexican mafia," their leader, a towering figure, hissed. His words echoed around the yard, a chilling declaration. The Bloods, their faces tattooed, were a force unlike any jury Clarence had faced. An argument ensued, tension escalating with each word. Accusations turned into threats, then a physical altercation. The prison yard erupted into chaos, grunts and shouts piercing the air. Clarence, despite his age, managed to hold his own. The fight ended as quickly as it began, leaving Clarence bruised but unbroken. The incident left him shaken. His heart pounded, nerves frayed. This altercation was a reminder of the dangers lurking in the prison, unlike his past courtroom battles. This experience was a wake-up call for Clarence. The incident led him to consider a deal offered by Carlos, a deal promising protection at a price. In prison, the line between friend and foe was blurred, and survival came at a high cost. In an unplanned turn of events, Clarence found a companion in Carlos, infamously known as the Viper. Carlos, a notorious Mexican mafia member, had a reputation that far exceeded the prison walls. Sharing the same predicament as Clarence, Carlos was known for his cunning and influence. With a cunning smile, Carlos offered Clarence a pact of mutual benefit. The deal promised elusive protection that only Carlos could provide in exchange for certain favors. This pact demanded an obedience from Clarence that threatened to compromise his humanity. The agreement also ensured that the judge who held their freedom key remained under the mafia's watchful eye. Through this pact, Clarence became an unwitting participant in a dangerous game. In an unforeseen and intriguing turn of events, Clarence found an unexpected companion in the likeness of Carlos, known infamously as the Viper. This moniker was not without reason, as Carlos was a sly, shrewd, and influential member of the notorious Mexican mafia. Carlos, with a glint in his eyes, offered Clarence a deal. It was a sinister exchange for favors. These favors had a price. They demanded a level of obedience that threatened to consume Clarence's humanity. The agreement ensured that the judge would always remain under the mafia's gaze. With this pact, Clarence became an unwitting pawn in a game far larger and more dangerous than he could have ever imagined. Navigating the dangerous waters of prison politics, Clarence found himself trapped in a new life, where days melded into weeks. Here, survival was a deadly challenge and trust a scarcity. Respect and power were the only currencies that held any value. Clarence was thrust into a harsh reality, teetering on the edge of violence. He had to form alliances with other inmates, his survival hinging on these relationships. He found himself drawn into the prison bartering system, striking deals and compromises. Despite the risks, these transactions offered a chance to gain respect and influence. In the chaos, Clarence learned the art of maintaining a low profile. It was a fine balance, being visible enough to earn respect, not so much as to draw the unwanted attention of the prison's power players. But the Bloods, a notorious prison gang, were a constant reminder of the lurking danger. Their presence kept Clarence on his toes, eternally watchful and ready for any sudden upheavals. A second confrontation with the Bloods in the prison yard only reinforced his need for protection. As the prison yard buzzed with the cacophony of hardened criminals, silence fell over the grounds. The Bloods, a notorious gang, were marching towards Clarence. This confrontation was an anticipated spark, set to ignite the tension simmering. The Bloods, with their intimidating tattoos and icy eyes, faced Clarence. Their chief, the Reaper, a daunting man, stepped forward, his ill intent conspicuous. The clash was quick, harsh, punches flew, blood stained the ground, transforming the yard into a war zone. But Clarence wasn't alone. Carlos and his crew backed him. Fighting back fear and uncertainty, he remained firm. Each punch he received, each one he landed, were trophies of his survival instinct. The fight was intense. Every inmate watched anxiously. The guards, bound by prison politics, delayed their intervention. Then abruptly, the fight ceased. Both sides retreated, nursing their wounds. This had changed things. Clarence, previously a target, had asserted himself. His courage in face of adversity earned him respect among inmates. This encounter, though savage, represented a shift in the prison dynamics for Clarence. He was now not just a former judge, but a man who'd held his ground against the daunting Bloods. The path ahead was perilous still, but this encounter had given him a fighting chance. Behind bars, Clarence Winchester, the once untouchable and revered judge, experienced a reversal of fortune that was unimaginable. From esteemed courtrooms to a stark prison cell, the poignant shift was horrifying to the now powerless man. His world had metamorphosed into a nebulous space where moral and legal boundaries blurred. In his solitude, he pondered upon his life choices, his past actions like haunting apparitions. Now vulnerable, he was a pawn amidst hardened criminals. As the days morphed into months, he acquainted himself with the darkness, his past actions being his everlasting companions. Daily he wrestled with the repercussions of his past. The memories of his courtroom days were suffused with regret. The scales of justice he once wielded were now burdens of guilt. For redemption gnawed at him, a desire to rectify his past wrongs. With a heart heavy with guilt and a soul yearning for redemption, he clung on to hope for a chance of redemption amidst chaos.